Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. This is the continuation of Surah Talaq. In the previous lesson, we spoke about the taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and we spoke little bit on tawakkul, or about tawakkul. Why? Because Allah Jalla wa Ala says here, فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَا أَجَلَهُنَّ فامسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف واشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا. The one who have taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will find him a way out. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Allah Jalla wa Ala will provide him from places that he never expected. And then Allah Jalla wa Ala says وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. The one who puts his trust in Allah and rely on Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will be sufficient for him. We spoke about these three phrases, and we spoke a little bit about tawakkul. What is tawakkul, my dear respected brothers and sisters? Tawakkul is a shar'i term. Tawakkul is a shar'i term. And mainly it is the action of the heart, as Imam Ahmad said. He said, التوكل عمل القلب. And as Sa'id ibn Jubayr said, التوكل جماع الإيمان. At-tawakkul is the essence of al-iman, or at-tawakkul encompasses al-iman. And Allah Jalla wa Ala says in number of ayat, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. If they are believers, then they should have tawakkul ala Allah Jalla wa Ala. When the disbelievers attack the believers said, قالوا على الله توكلنا ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين. On Allah we have tawakkul. In Allah we have relied. And we mentioned the hadith of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم لو أنكم تتوكلون على الله حق توكله لرزقكم كما يرزق الطير. If you rely on Allah جل وعلا as you should, as it should be relied on him, Allah Jalla wa Ala would have provided you as he provided the bird. It goes in the morning with empty stomach and it comes back in the evening with a full stomach. All of you know hadith as-sab'ina alfa, the 70,000 people who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that there will be 70,000 people enter Jannah without hisab, without being held accountable, without reckoning. Then one of the companions of Kash ibn Muhsin said, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to be among them. Then he said, you are one of them. Okay, another person said, Ya Rasulullah, ask Allah Jalla wa Ala that I'll be among them. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, no, Ukasha sabaqaka biha. Yani Ukasha preceded you and he got it. Always the one who is proactive, he gets the reward. And the one who waits and procrastinates, then he will lose. Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ explained the qualities of those 70,000 who will go to Jannah without hisab. He said, هم الذين لا يرقون, or هم الذين لا يسترقون. There is a riwayah in Sahih Muslim that they are the people who does not make ruqya. Yastarqun means they do not ask ruqya. But this riwayah, as many scholars said, this part is da'if. The correct riwayah is the riwayah that is authentic لا يسترقون, and the riwayah that is ضعيف لا يرقون. Yeah. So they are making ruqya, but they do not ask for ruqya. Yeah? لا يسترقون is weak. طيب? They do not ask for ruqya, but they make ruqya. That is not a problem. So the Prophet ﷺ described them that they do not ask for ruqya. لا يسترقون ولا يكتوون, and they do not make this iktiwa. What is kay? What is it? Kay? Huh? Branding? No. There is another. Cauterization. They don't do this cauterization. Yeah? They don't do cauterization. لا يكتوون. And then ولا يتطيرون. They don't have these bad omens. And على ربهم يتوكلون. And they rely on Allah جل وعلا. Okay? This hadith is talking about the highest degree of tawakkul, which means that there is the highest degree of tawakkul and there is the wajib tawakkul. The wajib tawakkul, okay, we can say there is the highest grade of tawakkul, there is the wajib tawakkul, and there is the minimum tawakkul. The minimum tawakkul is the minimum tawakkul under which the person have committed kufr. The wajib tawakkul under which the person committed a ma'siyah. The perfect tawakkul is the highest level of tawakkul. If the person did not attain that, that is not a problem. The perfect tawakkul leads the person to be among those of the 70,000 people who will go to Jannah without being held accountable. What are those people? They do not ask for ruqyah. They do not ask for ruqyah. What does that mean? They do not ask for ruqyah, but they make ruqyah. That is not a problem. لا يسترقون. Yeah, as we said, لا يسترقون. طيب, is the authentic riwayah. Yeah, لا يسترقون. They do not ask for ruqyah. What does that mean? That they do not ask for ruqyah? What's wrong with ruqyah? What's wrong with ruqyah? Ruqyah is not a problem, but asking for ruqyah is negates the highest level of tawakkul. Asking for ruqyah negates having the highest level of tawakkul. Yes? Why it negates the highest level of tawakkul? The best answer that I came up with is the answer given by Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala. He said because asking for ruqyah means the person is putting a little bit trust on the person whom he asking ruqyah for. That's why those who ask for ruqyah, they don't go to anyone, they go to specific people. And when they go to specific people, their hearts are little bit attached to the persons, to the personalities. So they go to scene X or Y or Z, they have kind of relying on X or Y or Z. And that little bit of relying on the personality negates full reliance on Allah Jalla wa'ala. Is it clear? Negates full reliance on Allah Jalla wa'ala. That's why the person who is asking for ruqyah, his tawakkul might be wajib. He might have accomplished the wajib tawakkul, but he did not attain the perfect tawakkul. Because the perfect tawakkul means that you do not look at all at human beings or at any of the creation, you look at Allah Jalla wa'ala only. This is the highest level of tawakkul. And the highest level of tawakkul, my dear brothers and sisters, is difficult. Extremely difficult, and it needs that the person is doing a training. until he has that level. And when the person has the highest level of tawakkul, Allah Jalla wa Ala will suffice him in the dunya and in the akhirah. We mentioned the hadith, من جعل الهموم هما واحدا هم آخرته كفاه الله هم دينه ودنياه. The one who makes all his affairs just one affair, which is what? The worry for the akhirah. Allah Jalla wa Ala will suffice him the dunya and the akhirah. But the one who is worried about the dunya, and Allah Jalla wa Ala will not be bothered about him. Where is he going to die? And we said that Allah Jalla wa Ala might test the person, but eventually Allah Jalla wa Ala, if He sees that your heart is relying on Him fully and you are putting your trust in Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will suffice you. Yes, and we mentioned some of the verses about this ayah and the importance of tawakkul, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Some scholars also said, the hadith says, لا يسترقون ولا يكتوون. Yes, when this kay, which is branding yourself, or when you have this cauterization, branding yourself, okay, the technical term is cauterization. What is cauterization? Certain illnesses can be cured by branding yourself, and the experts know this. They brand the person maybe in the scalp, or in the back, or in the heel, yeah, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ said, if there is medicine, then it is in three things: having some honey, or cupping, or what? Kay, cauterization. And I forbade kay. Yes, I forbade kay. Now, forbade kay means, or I dislike kay. It is allowed, but it is disliked. Why do those people who have cauterization do not attain the highest level of tawakkul? Is the question clear? We said, why do those people who ask for ruqya, fail to achieve the highest level of tawakkul? We answered that. Why do those people who do this cauterization or branding, why do they fail to achieve the highest level of tawakkul? This is another question. Again, the best answer that I came up with is to categorize the deeds or the actions or the means into three levels. The means, yes, into three levels. We know that from a Sharia perspective and from rational perspective, there are means and there are results. Yeah? In order to be full, you have to eat. In order to have children, you have to have sexual relationship through marriage or through something else. But you won't be able to have children remotely without sexual relationship. Yeah? Or over Skype, as many people get married now. That is impossible. Why impossible? Because Allah Jalla wa Ala made the sexual relationship, okay, as a means to what? To have children. Without that means, there will be no pregnancy and there will be no result. So that mean or that reason is an essential component to achieve the result, or it is a condition to achieve the result. Means the result is conditional to that mean. Yeah? Is it clear? Okay. Same thing if you have a broken arm, it will not heal in a straight way unless you treat it. Okay. This is a requirement, a condition for achieving any result. This is one classification or one category of what? Of means. Then on the other side we have doubtful means or weak means. Doubtful means or weak means. Such as what? Yeah? All of us know, for example, cold. When you have cold, you go to the doctor. He tells you, if you want, I can give you medicine. But that is before NHS goes through this cuts by the Tory government. Now they don't give you any medicine. Okay? From one angle it is good, but from another angle they are having too many cuts. From one angle it's good that we rely on ourselves without medicine. Anyway, so they say to you, this is medicine, but it doesn't really affect that much. It might help you. What may help you is just have some liquid, lemon, honey, and just relax a little bit, don't be tired, and so on. So that medicine is what? Is not a condition for the cure. Agree? That medicine is not a condition for the cure. So that is a weak mean to achieve the result. In between, there are means that get closer to what? To the first category, which is what? The conditional means. Those who are considered to be conditioned to achieve the mean. And there are, on the other side, means that may be doubtful or very weak means. Now, for those means that you have to do them in order to achieve what you want to achieve, you must do them, and this is part of tawakkul. So no one can say, I want to have children without having sexual relationship. Right? Unless they do IV, what is it? IVF. This is something else. Or he wants to say that I want to have children without having the sperm and the egg being fertilized together. Okay? That is impossible. So if you want to have tawakkul, you have to have that means or that sabab. Okay? That cause. Is it clear? This is part of tawakkul. You cannot enter Jannah unless you what? Work hard for it. No one say that I'm relying on Allah to go to Jannah and he doesn't pray. Yes? Or he does all the bad deeds and then he says, just rely on Allah and then you will go to Jannah. No. Allah Jalla wa Ala made Jannah a result of what? A result of deeds. Yeah? Udkhulul Jannata bima kuntum ta'malun. Udkhulul Jannah by your deeds that you used to do in the dunya. Okay. On the other side, those weak means or doubtful means, they said that in order to attain the highest level of tawakkul, leave them. Yes? Leave them. In order to what? To attain the highest level of tawakkul. Clear? And this teaches us a very important lesson, especially as we said last time, we need these lessons here in the West more. We need them somewhere else, because here people have been taught to look after the details of those precautions that might protect them from illnesses, from troubles, from everything. Yes, and as we said last time, Allah is there. If you want to be worried about everything, you will what? As some scholars said, the one who is worried about everything. And لا يؤمن بالقدر لم يهنأ له عيش. The one who is not putting trust in the qadr, he will not be satisfied and he will never live peacefully. He will never have peace of mind, because he is worried all the time. Okay? So this is this level of tawakkul, okay, or this is this level of means, and this is on the other side the doubtful means. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. If there are means of the first category, then you have to do them in order to have the correct tawakkul. Is it clear? Yeah? You will never have the correct tawakkul without doing this type of asbab, of causes. However, in order to have the highest level of tawakkul, it is recommended to leave the third type of causes, okay, or means. Is it clear? This is tawakkul. And my dear respected brothers and sisters, it is very good if the person starts training himself, educating himself, and get trained to have some tawakkul ala Allah Jalla wa Ala, relying on Allah Jalla wa Ala. Yeah? Don't be so worried about, or don't be so worried about the details of those measures that protect you from illnesses or problems or thefts or so on. Okay? This is tawakkul. A lot can be said about tawakkul, but inshallah this will be enough. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. As we said, that one of the amazing things about tawakkul is that it is the only action that Allah Jalla wa Ala said that the reward is what? Is Himself. وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. What Allah Jalla wa Ala will give him, Allah is what? Going to suffice him. Allah is his. Allah is sufficing him. فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ بَالِغُ أَمْرِهِ. The meaning of this simply that Allah Jalla wa Ala is fulfilling or is accomplishing His purpose, or Allah will accomplish His purpose. So whatever Allah Jalla wa Ala wants to accomplish, no one can stop what Allah Jalla wa Ala wants to accomplish. This is very important phrase to be mentioned after tawakkul. Why? Because whatever you do, whatever means you do, at the end of the day Allah will accomplish His matter, or Allah will accomplish His matters, okay, or His purpose, or His commandment. They mentioned, sorry?
I'll answer. When you're done, I'll answer after.
Sorry?
When at the end, are you going to take questions?
Yeah, at the end. Okay. They mentioned different qira'at of this one, of this verse. إن الله بالغ أمره. This is the well-known قراءة. إن الله بالغ أمره. بالغ is مضاف, أمره مضاف إليه. There is also إن الله بالغ أمره. إن الله بالغ أمره. Yes? Different قراءات. For example, إن الله بالغ أمره. Yeah? أمره is what? فاعل. طيب sorry إن الله بالغ أمره, you can say أمره is خبر, or you can say it is فاعل لاسم الفعل بالغ, or إن الله بالغ أمره. أمره مفعول به. طيب بالغ هو أمره. Allah will reach, will accomplish His purpose or His matter. Anyway, different, and there are some other qira'at as well. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says, قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. طيب, قَدْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدْرًا. What is the translation of this? Allah Jalla wa Ala indeed has set a measure for all things. This is like the ayah, إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ وَكَانَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قَدَرًا مَقْدُورًا. Those ayat that talk about qadar, that Allah Jalla wa Ala have created things. Be careful. Have created things in according to certain measures. He wanted those measures. Yeah? وَكَانَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قَدَرًا مَقْدُورًا means Allah Jalla wa Ala decreed something, and Allah Jalla wa Ala created things according to measures. Once we say that Allah Jalla wa Ala created things according to certain measures, this is referring to the acts that we have no control of. Yeah? So those acts that we have no control of, they are the qadr of Allah Jalla wa Ala. طيب. Those acts that we have control on or off. Yes? For example, I can close this or not. Can we say that those are beyond or outside the qadr of Allah? No. They are part of the qadr of Allah. How? In the previous type of acts that we have no control of, Allah Jalla wa Ala sets them for us, or Allah Jalla wa Ala decreed them. Yes, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, إن الله قدر مقادير الخلائق قبل أن يخلق السماوات والأرض ب70,000 سنة. Yes, that Allah Jalla wa Ala decided the measures of the heavens and earth, everything, before He created everything. Yeah, 70,000 years before creating everything. Okay? Those actions that we have control of, Allah Jalla wa Ala knew them from before, and Allah Jalla wa Ala allowed us to do them. Yes, and Allah Jalla wa Ala created the ability in us to accomplish those things. So we decided to do something or not. Yes, and then we used the limbs and the tools that Allah Jalla wa Ala has created them for us. Yeah, in order to do these things. However, whatever we have decided to do, it is within what Allah Jalla wa Ala knew from before, and it is within what Allah Jalla wa Ala allowed it to happen. So that is the meaning of qadr for those actions that are under our control. Yes? So the actions of two types: actions that are under our control and actions that are not under our control. What is the qadr for this? What is the qadr for that? The qadr for those actions that are not under our control, as we have said in Surah At-Taghabun, that Allah Jalla wa Ala sets everything, okay, and it is not in our control. Okay, for example, it is not in my control where I was born. It is not in my control how big am I. It is not in our control how my eyes look like, and so on. Yeah, Allah Jalla wa Ala created me like this. It is not my control when the rain comes. It is not in the control of human beings. Similarly, many scholars said that the rizq is not in your control. Provision is not in your control, and so on. However, there are many actions that are under my control. This is the second type of actions. I can pray and I can stop praying. I can fast and I can stop fasting. Those actions were known to Allah from before. Yes, al-ilm. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala allowed them to take place And then Allah Jalla wa Ala created the ability in us to decide to do them, and moreover to do them. So He gave us the tools to do them, the hands, the eyes, and the other means that we can do this. This is the meaning of qadr for those actions that are under our control. Okay. Inna Allah balighu amri qad ja'ala Allah li kulli shay'in qadra. Allah Jalla wa Ala sets measures for everything. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says, واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن ثلاثة أشهر. Okay, those who have those women, who passed the age of menstruation, of hayd, if you doubt, then their iddah is 3 months. Similarly, it is the iddah for those who have not attained or have not reached the age of what? Of hayd. This is the translation of this phrase. So this phrase is talking about the iddah of who? Those who passed the age of hayd, or those who did not reach the age of hayd. This is the general meaning of this verse. وَاللَّائِي يَئِسْنَ مِنَ الْمَحِيضِ. Here there are a number of things to be understood. First of all, this ayah, the meaning of this phrase is decided upon the word or upon the phrase in irtabtum. If we understand this phrase in irtabtum, we will be able to understand the rest of the verse. What does in irtabtum mean? The translation again, and those of your women who has passed the age of hayd, their iddah, okay, if you have doubt, okay, what if you have doubt? Doubt about what? Two main interpretations. Doubt about the hukum. So what is the hukum of those women who pass the age of hayd? This is the ikhtiyar of Ibn Jarir al-Tabari. Ibn Jarir al-Tabari believes that this is the correct meaning. And they narrated that when Allah Jalla wa Ala revealed in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah, in ayah 228, when Allah Jalla wa Ala says, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ أَن يَكْتُمْنَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي أَرْحَامِهِنَّ. Those divorcees, they should wait the iddah of ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. They said, some of the companions said, Ya Rasulullah, Allah Jalla wa Ala did not clarify for us the iddah of those old women who pass the age of hayd, and those young women who have not reached the age of hayd, and those who are pregnant who do not see hayd. Allah Jalla wa Ala did not explain this to us. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala revealed this ayah. So Allah Jalla wa Ala explained in this ayah the iddah of those women who pass the age of hayd, and the iddah of those women, the young women who have not reached the age of hayd. And later on Allah Jalla wa Ala explained the iddah of pregnant women in general. Okay? So here Allah Jalla wa Ala, according to this interpretation, that in irtabtum means if you doubt their ruling, then their iddah is what is prescribed here. The other meaning, the other main meaning, otherwise there are some other meanings. The other meaning, in irtabtum fi haydihinna, if you doubt whether they are observing regular hayd, regular menstruation. Yeah? So, this includes those women who do not see their hayd. Yes, they don't see their monthly cycle. What is their iddah? 3 months. It includes, according to one interpretation, those women who are doubtful about their hayd. They have istihada, the blood is flowing and they don't know the beginning of it and the end of it. So if they don't know, and they know that hayd is coming, definitely, but they don't know the beginning of it and the end of it, then their iddah is what? 3 months, because they cannot calculate the iddah based on what? Based on the hayd, because they don't know when it starts and when it ends. Yes, according to one interpretation. However, according to the other interpretation, the scholar said, no, this ayah is not talking about women who have istihada. Yeah? Okay? But most of the scholars believe that this is talking about those women who do not see their hayd. Then their iddah is what? Their iddah is 3 months. Lunar months, not Gregorian months. Yes? So, according to this, those who have reached the age where they don't see their monthly cycle, what is their iddah? 3 months, not 3 periods, 3 months. They don't see a period, they don't see the cycle. Okay? Similarly, those young girls who do not see their iddah, they don't see their hayd, then their iddah is what? 3 months as well. Okay. What about those women who don't see the hayd because of illness? Yes, because of illness or because of what? Pregnancy. They said, according to many scholars, or most of the scholars, that this ayah does not talk about them. It is clear? So those women, for example, those women who are pregnant, they don't see hayd. So what is their iddah? They mentioned hadith Subay al-Aslamiyah. Her husband divorced her. Okay? And then he divorced her when she was pregnant. And then he became ill. He was afraid that if he dies, she will inherit him. So he consulted the Sahaba. Okay? He consulted Ibn Abbas and others. Then they consulted Ali bin Abi Talib and I think Ibn Abbas, and they said no. She is his wife because she is still in her iddah, even she passed 3 months. Because the ayah does not talk about her. Yeah? The ayah does not talk about her. Because she is not equal to what? She is not equal to those old ladies who do not see the period. She doesn't see the period not because of age, yeah, either too old or too young. She doesn't see the period because of what? Because of pregnancy. So her iddah is different. Yes? So they said no, she will inherit him. Okay? And that is the decision of most of the Sahaba. Okay? Those women, so this is the iddah of what? The iddah of a woman who does not see her hayd out of what? Out of pregnancy. If he divorces her in the beginning of her pregnancy, then she will stay 8 months or maybe 9 months without seeing the iddah, without seeing the hayd. Right? That is her iddah. We cannot say just 3 months and that is your iddah. Okay, what about those women who have certain illnesses? So they don't see the hayd because of certain illnesses. what is their iddah? We received a number of questions from different people, either due to maybe the weather, due to stress, due to medicine, due to the nutrition, due to other reasons. They don't see the haid except in 2 months or 3 months. Yeah? Sometimes all of a sudden they don't see the period. What is the iddah? Many opinions. Maybe the opinion that most of the Jumhur accept, she should wait for 9 months to make sure that she is not pregnant, followed by 3 months, which is the iddah. So they say 9 months lil istibra and 3 months for the iddah. Okay? There are some other details, but I think I have confused you. Yeah. Okay. Inshallah. Okay. You were not confused. Were you confused? So there are different women. Those women who what? Yeah. So we can say from the beginning, those women who see their regular period, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوء, as we said. Yeah. They wait for through quru, either 3 periods or 3 cycles. Those women who have been divorced and they are too old or too young, they don't see the period because of age, then their iddah is what? 3 months. Those women who do not see the iddah because of pregnancy, then the iddah is until what? They give birth. Yeah? Even if it passes what? 3 months. Those who do not see their period because of certain illness, okay, they don't see the period because of certain illness, then their iddah is 9 months plus 3 months, 12 months. Those who see the iddah but they see the period but they are unable to calculate it properly because of istihada, because the blood goes, the blood flows and they are unable to distinguish the end of it and the beginning of it, then their iddah is 3 months according to many scholars. Yes, ya brothers? Okay, and sisters. طيب. واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن. Okay. وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن. Those who have pregnancy, what is their iddah? To give birth. Okay. Whether they are divorcees or whether they are what? Widows. Yeah? Okay. Allah Jalla wa Ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَالَّذِينَ يُتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ وَيَذَرُونَ أَزْوَاجًا يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ 4 أشهر و10. In Surah Al-Baqarah, those who die, their women should wait a iddah of what? 4 months and 10 days. We have mentioned this before, that the iddah of the widow is what? 4 months and what? 10 days. What about if the widow is a pregnant lady? What is her iddah? 4 months and 10 days or until she gives birth? Which one? Okay. If the lady was made widow in the beginning of her pregnancy, in the first month her husband died, okay, so 4 months 10 days passed and still she is pregnant, we say that she should what? Wait, not for 9 months, until she gives birth, even if the pregnancy continued for 4 years. Yes? طيب الله يعلم ما تحمل كل أنثى وما تغيض الأرحام وما تزداد. In Surah Al-Ra'd, Allah knows the pregnancy and when it becomes long and when it becomes what? Short. By the way, you know Al-Dhahhak Ibn Muzahim, one of the Tabi'een. He was called Al-Dhahhak. Why? Because when he was born, they said that he had teeth. Why? They said that he stayed in his mom's womb for 4 years. Okay? This is, by the way, malish, okay? The fiqh is nice, yani mental training. The last year, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was a case in Mecca where the lady gave birth to a child after 4 years of her husband's death. Yeah? This 4 years ago, something like this. And then she went to the court to what? To ask for what? To prove the lineage of this son. Yeah? I think 3 years and 9 months or something like this. Just less than 4 years. Is it clear? Some doctors said no. The Qadi wrote the decision, the fatwa or the verdict, that this son belongs to the father. And he said, Allah Jalla wa Ala says, Allah ya'lamu ma tahmilu kullu untha wa ma taghidu al-arham wa ma tazdadu wa kullu shay'in 'indahu bimiqdar. And most of the scholars believe that the hamil, the pregnancy, can continue for what? 4 years. فإذا ولدت لأربع سنين نسب الولد طيب إلى الأب. Yeah? Okay? So he said that the son is his, okay, or the father son, and he takes the خلاص, يعني he is the son, يعني he takes the mirat, everything. What about DNA? DNA is not considered in these matters. طيب, anyway, this is not our topic. Okay. وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَنْ يَضَعْنَ حَمْلَهُنَّ. Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Okay, so we mentioned the first scenario. The husband divorced his wife in the first, the wife became widow in the first month. Yeah? In the first month. So she waited for 4 months and 10 days. Still she is pregnant. We say that she should wait until what? She gives birth. Okay. The husband died 1 day before what? Before his wife gave birth. Yeah? So how long will be the iddah for his wife? 1 day? Or 4 months and 10 days? La, 1 day. Yeah? Yeah, we mentioned Sabi'a al-Aslamiyya, Hadith Sabi'a al-Aslamiyya, this one. I got confused between both of them. Hadith Sabi'a is this one. That one was another lady. Yeah? But Sabi'a al-Aslamiyya gave birth, okay, after 40 days. Then she received proposals. One of the companions said, no, you will not get married. She said, no, I can get married. Then she went to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ allowed her to get married. So the iddah ended after what? 4 months, 40 days. Similarly, if the wife was made widow 1 day before giving birth, she gives birth the second day, her iddah is over, she can't get married the third day. Is it clear? Yeah? طبعا marriage without what? No, ya akhi, Allah yahdik. Marriage without the marriage will not, there will be no consummation of marriage because she will be in her nifas. طيب? Yeah? Okay. So this is وَأُولَاتُ الْأَحْمَالِ أَجَلُهُنَّ أَنْ يَضَعُنَا حَمْلَهُنَّ. Then Allah Jalla wa Ala says وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِ يُسْرًا. The one who fears Allah Jalla wa Ala, or the one who have taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will make his matter easy for him. Allah Jalla wa Ala will ease his matters. Which matters? Again, as we said about وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, some scholars referred or said that this ayah is talking about what? Talaq. Some scholars were talking about the akhirah. Some scholars said that this ayah is talking about the dunya, and this means that this ayah is comprehensive. The one who have taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will find him a way out. Similarly, the one who have taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, Allah Jalla wa Ala will make things easy for him, or will ease his affairs. Yeah, will make his matter easy for him. And again, as we said about the taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and Allah Jalla wa Ala will make for the person who have taqwa of Allah Jalla wa Ala way out, Allah Jalla wa Ala will make things easy for the person who have taqwa. Okay, now as we said before, that Allah Jalla wa Ala might test the person. This is not a problem, but eventually Allah Jalla wa Ala will make things easy for him. We ask Allah Jalla wa Ala to make things easy for us. Yeah, let us stop here. طيب, and then inshallah next lesson we will explain inshallah the next verse. Yeah, we took one ayah, one hour, almost 1 hour to explain one verse. طيب, 1.5 verse, no problem. Inshallah khair. Okay, don't get bored, don't be bored. Are you getting bored? Huh? طيب, جزاكم الله خير. Okay, questions. Many questions. طيب, تفضل شيخ سهيل. Yeah.
Cauterization, is it actually a legitimate cure? I think it works.
Cauterization, yeah, it is a legitimate one. Yeah.
And we have a question on the live stream test. One question: what do you mean by DNA is not considered?
DNA is not considered. What does the DNA is not considered? DNA is not considered. This is what it means. Yeah, maybe she meant why. Yeah, why? I think we have explained it before, or maybe. Anyway, there is a difference between the biological father and what? The Shar'i father. Yeah, we have to understand this point. Oh, subhanallah. Yes, I was in Birmingham last weekend, and a case came to us, and they will come to us in the Islamic Sharia Council. They said the person, he came here a long time ago, he wanted to bring his children to the UK. So they told him, I don't know, for whatever reason his children are not registered in his official documents. So they told him, you need to have a proof that these are your children. He has 4 or 5 children. So he went. He told them how. They said you need to get the DNA test. So he went. He sent to his wife or his relatives. I don't know why. Well, who anyway? He sent to them, right, in one of those countries that are not very developed, and they went to the hospital and they said, yeah, let us have the DNA. So they have the DNA, they sent it to here. They did not know what was the result of the DNA. So the DNA came, the first is his child, the second is his child, the third is not his child, and the fourth is his child. So when he took it to the solicitor, he was not aware of it. The solicitor said, we can bring it 3, but not the the fourth, or four, not the fifth. I don't exactly remember how many children. Yeah? He said, why? He said, according to the DNA test, is not your child. He said, come on, this is a joke. I've been living for 10 or 15 years, whatever, that this is my child. He was born in my wedlock. Yes? So, then they said, well, he said, no. So the solicitor, anyway, he said, maybe if you believe that he's a child, your child, and he lived with you as you were a child, okay, khalas, you're a child. So he consulted me, the solicitor consulted me. I said, if he wants, yeah, he can come to us and we can issue him a verdict that if the conditions are met, then he is his legitimate child. Forget about DNA. Yeah? Okay. Maybe we can talk later about this DNA and how to approve the lineage. Yeah. This is on live streaming?
No.
Huh?
Yes.
How many people are on live streaming?
This is just not many people. We've only got
5, 2, 3?
39.
39. Okay. And where is this question from?
This question was from the live stream.
Which country?
I'm not entirely sure.
Right, no problem. Yeah. Second question.
We've got another question. We've got another question from a brother who watched one of the videos that we uploaded. He said a sister whose husband has become shaheed in Syria, as part of condition for her being in iddah, is her iddah 4 months and 10 days. Is she allowed to talk to her potential husband and vice versa? If two people are interested in each other, but the lady is in iddah, does that mean it is not permissible for the potential husband to contact his potential wife via email or text during this period?
Yani this sister, she lost her husband as a shaheed and she's worried about next husband.
Allahu Alam. And then I sent the video of you answering one of these questions and still wanted to disclose it over to you.
I think it's probably your brother who's asking.
A brother who's asking, he's worried about his sister when she gets married. Yeah, just before I left, yeah, I was sitting with my wife and my daughter, and my daughter received a WhatsApp message, and she said to me, it is a story, well-known story, that Al-Hajjaj, you know, he was a tyrant. He ordered that 3 men will be killed from one family, and then he noticed that there was a lady who was weeping and crying. He said, what's wrong with you? She said, those 3 are my men. One of them is my husband, and the second one is my son, and the third one is my brother. Then he felt sorry for her. And instead of freeing them all, he was a tyrant, yeah? Anyway, he said, I'll free one of them. You choose. So whom did she choose?
His wife. Of course. Husband.
The brother.
Your husband.
Yeah, this my wife is reading, yeah? So, طبعا we know it in Arabic. I knew from before. She said, أما الزوج طيب فمفقود طيب وأما الابن فموجود وأما الأخ فمفقود. يعني the زوج, he can get married another husband. Children, we can get other children, but the brother, yeah, if we lost him, we cannot replace him. So I said to her, yeah, this is how you think of husbands. This is how you think of husbands. My daughter was busy doing something, and when I said this, she started to laugh. I said to her, you liked it, yeah? Okay. Yes.
There was I was going to ask a question.
Yes, تفضل. What we answered the question. What was the question?
The question was, can she be proposed and can she have conversations with him over text and email? Basically, khalwa.
لا don't يعني interpret the question. يعني anyway, if she is a widow, they cannot talk explicitly. Yeah, as Allah Jalla wa Ala says, فيما عرضتم به من خطبة النساء. عرضتم indirectly, but explicitly is haram. Yeah, explicit discussion. طيب. Is haram. Yeah, and as Allah Jalla wa Ala says, عرضتم يعني indirect. That I'm really interested in marrying a good wife. Yeah. A pious lady, something like this, as the fuqaha said. But they should not speak yani explicit, use explicit confirmation or language. That okay, once your iddah is finishing, then I'll get married to you. Yeah, and then they start and thinking about it and talk a plan for it, etc. No, haram. Yeah. No, sorry, the brother. Yes. تفضل.
I was going to ask a question about the ruqya.
Ruqya.
Yeah, the 3 levels that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Says that we have a higher one, a medium one, and a smaller size one. So I was going to ask if you probably ask, you make a ruqya, and then you ask Allah for help for somebody, and leave you as that.
Yeah, we forgot to mention this. We said we have 3 levels of ruqya, okay, or treatment in general. But ruqya, asking for ruqya is not prohibited, but it goes against the highest level of tawakkul, provided that the person believes that Allah is the one who cures, not this person. If the person believes that this person cures, then he negated the basic level of tawakkul, and either he committed a ma'siyah or he committed a kufr, or a shirk. Is it clear? And this is a problem many people have, those who go for ruqya. They ask, do you know a good raqi? Yes? And when they go to this good raqi, then they have they have a lot of trust in him. In fact, they believe that he is the one who cures. طيب? And this, if they believe like this, then it is an act of kufr. طيب. Can you do ruqya for yourself? Of course. This is the recommended. And as Ibn Taymiyyah said, that the Prophet ﷺ did ruqya for himself, and he did ruqya for others. He never asked anyone to do ruqya for him. However, Jibreel voluntarily conducted ruqya for the Prophet ﷺ. Is it clear, ya brothers? طيب? So voluntarily, if someone said to you, I will do ruqya for you, then that is not a problem. But to ask for it, la. طيب, so what is the solution? You go and do ruqya for yourself. طيب, we mentioned Sa'id ibn Jubayr or another one, but I think it is Sa'id ibn Jubayr. Sa'id ibn Jubayr, he was stung by a scarp. And then his mother said, you must do ruqya. He does not want to disobey her. He had it on the the left hand. When he went to the raqi, because he doesn't want to disobey his mother, he gave him the other hand, because he does not want to be among those who ask for ruqya. Okay. Yes.
Concerning when Ibn Taymiyyah said that could be because you will put some trust on the Rafi. So would it be the same for if someone went to the doctor? And also, does the weak means is it different for different people, because one means might be weak for one person and then
good question. Ibn Taymiyyah, the question is, as Ibn Taymiyyah said, that the person who goes for ruqya, he has put some some trust, and he has some tawakkul on the person who gives him ruqya. What about the person who goes to a doctor, for treatment? Same thing to be said. If he's going to the doctor because the doctor is just a means to help him to know about the cure, then that is not a problem at all. But if he feels that this doctor has an influence on the cure, then it might be problematic. Same thing, moreover, we said that the types of cure can be classified into 3 types. One cure is what is essential. You cannot fix your hand unless it is fixed by a doctor. It cannot heal straight until you go to a doctor to fix it, or someone who knows to fix it. On the other side, there are certain illnesses, like for example cancer. Even doctors say that many cancers cannot be cured by chemotherapy or other types of therapy. They are just trial and error. We say if you want to achieve the highest level of tawakkul and you have strong tawakkul in Allah Jalla wa Ala, leave it. Okay. Yes, brother, in the back.
شيخ الحديث 70,000 يدخلون الجنة بغير حساب ولا عقاب. لا يرقون ولا يسترقون ولا يتطيرون وعلى ربهم يتوكلون. هل هذا يعني أن 70,000 لا أكثر ولا أقل؟ وهل هذا يعني أن عكاشة سبق الصحابي؟ وهل هذا يعني أن الصحابي سوف يدخل إلى الجنة بحساب وعقاب؟
Okay, the 70,000 people, 2 interpretations. Some scholars said 70,000 people in number, and some other scholars said 70,000 people in type. Which means in number bigger than that. Okay, 2 interpretations. Ukasha, the Prophet ﷺ knew, according to one interpretation of this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ knew that he can leave those things. He does not ask for ruqya, and he is having trust in Allah Jalla wa Ala fully. The Prophet ﷺ knew that the other person cannot do it. Sorry, you.
My question is regarding again tawakkul. There's a hadith on the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Many talkers, Islamic talkers, mention it. Some stay away from it. So I was wondering if the hadith is sound. Whether when the angels came to Ibrahim, he rebuked them or turned back and said, "I have tawakkul in Allah." So have you heard that hadith yourself?
This is they mentioned it in the books of Tafsir. The angel Jibreel came to him and he said, "Do you want anything?" He said, "Amma minka fala, amma min Allahi fana'am." As from you, no, but from Allah, yes. They mentioned it in the book of Tafsir. But the other one that is fabricated, علمك بحالي يغني عن سؤالي, this is fabricated about Ibrahim. He did not make dua, and he said, "Ya Allah, you know my situation, so I don't need to ask you." La. This is fabricated. By the way, they said Salim ibn Abdullah ibn Umar, is it Salim ibn Abdullah ibn Umar or Salim ibn Umar? Salim ibn Umar. He entered the Kaaba with Hisham ibn Abdul Malik. Then they were in Kaaba. Hisham ibn Abdul Malik was the caliph at that time. He said to him, "Oh Salim, you are the son of Umar, ask me anything." He said, "Allah yahdik, in the house of Allah you want me to ask you?" This is the house of Allah, you should ask Allah. So he said, "Tayyib, no problem." The caliph. Then they went outside the Kaaba. Then he said, "Salim, Now we are outside the Kaaba. Do you want anything? He said things related to the dunya or things related to the akhirah. Then Hisham ibn Abdul Malik said, things related to akhirah is not in my hand. They are in the hands of Allah. But things related to the dunya. He said, I did not ask Allah Jalla wa Ala things related to the dunya, although Allah Jalla wa Ala owns everything in the dunya. Do you want me to ask you something from the dunya and you don't own anything in the dunya? Allahu Akbar. Yes. تفضل.
Sheikh, an online question related to the question that the other brother asked. Is it 70,000 or 700,000? And does that include shuhada?
No, it is 70. The hadith 70,000. Yeah.
Another question online. What is the sin of a Muslimah who does not enforce the iddah on herself, and neither do her parents enforce it on her after being divorced?
What does enforce the iddah mean? Yani she does not observe the iddah, and she got married.
I'm not sure.
While, this is what it means. If she got married, we mentioned this number of times, subhanallah. She got married during the iddah. Her marriage is invalid. And if she knew this, she has committed haram. Big haram, not small haram, big haram. Yeah? And if she knew this, maybe the children will not be the children of the second man. Maybe. طيب. Yeah, we need to. Yes, go ahead.
The illah of tawakkul, of al-kay.
Al-kay. The illah that al-kay, طيب, negates the highest level of tawakkul. Yeah, because the Prophet ﷺ disliked it, because it includes harming the body. Yeah, so they said that the person, he became so desperate and he is not relying on Allah, he is relying on a mean that has that cause harm to the body. Yes, and it is disliked by the Prophet ﷺ, which means that his tawakkul became so weak. Yeah. By the way, there is a hadith, I think al-Mughira, man istarqa aw iktawa faqad bari'a min at-tawakkul. Yeah, man istarqa, the one who asks for ruqya, طيب, and the one who is doing this kay, yeah, then he is free from at-tawakkul. Free from at-tawakkul means that he did not attain the highest level of at-tawakkul. طيب. Muhammad.
Is there a narration in Muslim Imam Ahmad that for every 70,000 there's another 70,000?
Yeah, there is a narration, but there is a narration. I don't know the explanation for that. طيب. Yes.
It's on an online question. I have divorced my wife and took her back. Does it count? Does it count it as one talaq? And does that mean I only have 2 talaq left to give?
No. People think, I forgot to mention this. People think that if you divorce your wife and took her during the iddah, taking her back cancels the talaq. Is it clear? Some people think that. We had some cases, a brother, I remember, I think he divorced his wife 7 or 8 times. He divorces her and takes her back and thinks that once he takes her back, cancels the talaq, which is not true. No, once you divorce your wife, khalas, one talaq has gone, is valid, so you will have 2 talaq left. Yes.
If somebody has got married while they're in the period.
Yeah. The wife or the female or the male?
The female. And many years have passed. Well, what should they do?
Yeah, they should come to us and we should think about their case. It's a big problem. Big problem. Yeah, it's not a small problem. Yes, Sheikh.
We talked about the iddah and the period.
Yeah.
And we talked about those people who do not have period.
Yeah.
Maybe because they're young.
Yeah.
Are we inferring, how do the iddah work on the young people? Are they married?
Yeah. For example, a person got married to a young girl, طيب, before she sees her iddah, or طبعا married, not the legal marriage, the Islamic marriage, because the legal marriage cannot be done. The Islamic marriage. Okay? Or if مثلا two young children had their nikah, or their parents arranged for their nikah. He is 9, she is 8, or even if it happened that they are very young, and the parents agreed to have a nikah between them. Nikah means what? The aqd. Yeah?
I saw there is a part in the Quran where it reveals that if you divorced your wife and if they take her back, you will need to fast for 60 days or train a slave or 60 slave. Feeding.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, the brother is asking about if you divorce your wife in the Quran. If you divorce your wife before taking her back, you have to free a slave or something like this. That is called the dhihar. Yeah. طيب. Yeah.
Can you make a little explanation because I need to understand it more.
To understand it more. Dhihar, when the person says to his wife, you are like my mother, haram alayya. You became haram, to me. Like my mother, haram to me. Then he cannot go back to her. She's not divorced, but he cannot resume the matrimonial rights with her except he do the expiation. طيب. More questions? تفضل.
The previous question we asked online about her observing iddah. The brother has replied back with the clarification is that not observing it means this woman continues to go out for reasons other than work and puts makeup on, etc.
The iddah, we said that there is a difference between the iddah of a divorcee and the iddah of a widow. The widow should not put makeup. She can go outside her home for a need only. That is the iddah for a widow. But the iddah for a divorcee is different. She can put makeup and she can beautify herself for her husband, and they can go and have dinner together. Maybe Allah Jalla wa'ala will put love between themselves. She can go work if this is her norm. She was going to work from before. She can continue like this, but the key thing is she should live in her house, which is his house. طيب. بارك الله فيكم. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.